Hi everybody. Take a couple seconds. Okay. Alright, I know I haven't been on here in a little bit. A lot has been happening to me and my family in the last week, especially. And I've just been having all sorts of craziness. I've been trying to get on here, and it just hasn't been working out until right now. So, now that I have a couple minutes of downtime, I'm going to do this. Alright, so there's been a lot of energy fluctuations lately. And it is blowing people out of the water. For one, I don't know if you guys are somebody who follows Diane Canfield. She's been posting a lot about the hurricane that's going to be hitting Florida, and the fact that her team and her have been able to send vibrations out to the environment, and the universe, and tell the universe to direct it off the coast, so it doesn't damage as much as it would have if it's direct hit. So actually it's working, so that's really cool. And it just shows you the power of thought forms and the fact that what you think is what you manifest, and you can manifest it in your outside world. So that's a big thing too. That was a lot of an interesting thing. So, update with me. So last Sunday I found out my grandfather fainted. We had to take him into the hospital. His blood pressure was really low. Found out his heart's not working correctly. The top part was not beating like the bottom part, and basically he needed a pacemaker. He was fighting the pacemaker. There's a fly that just really does not like me right now. I don't have my peppermint out here either. Sorry. Hold on. Hi, Julie. So anyways, sorry about that. My neighbor's dogs were off the lead, so he's beckoning them. So basically, my grandfather was fighting the pacemaker, so we were saying if you don't have a pacemaker, you're not going to live. Because you come home, you can't stand up, you're going to faint, you're going to fall down, whatever. So the universe was testing me a lot. So we were getting a lot of that, and then finally he just apparently got the pacemaker put in, because he just finally was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. And then he had to be taken to rehab over at Father Baker, so he didn't like that either, so we were fighting him with that. And then this morning, the universe told me that basically my younger brother was in the hospital for having a stroke, they think. Because I guess his girlfriend told us different things, but that's another story too. Crazy girlfriend issues. So then I had to deal with that, and the universe is like, you're not done yet. And then I just talked to my brother, who's been helping me through this whole entire thing too, and he's been the one that's POA for my grandfather, so he's been doing a lot of stuff. Now he has a cold, so he can't go and help them. So I have to stay as sane as I can right now, and it's just weird that so much stuff is being thrown at me all of a sudden. And it's weird because I still have the feeling that October is going to be really good, but it's just so odd that all of a sudden this is all just like, almost like the universe wants to get this out and done with and cleared out so that October can be an awesome month for prosperity and growth and everything. So if you guys are having issues too, you're not alone. I'm not sure if this is like Uranus being retrograde and like throwing everything all asunder, because I remember that going retrograde, and I don't remember offhand right now exactly what it said was going to happen, but it definitely was talking about relationships and different changes and things that are going to come up, and we're going to have to rethink situations. So this is, now that we're deep in it, it's kind of like weird because it's going to be in until I think December, I think, not sure though. So there's been a lot of miscommunication too, but that comes along with fear, because I'm learning. The universe is weird how it works. Basically, I'm learning a lot about my grandmother's history and her fears that are feeding the way she lives and has lived so far, and why she does certain things. So this is another awesome thing to see and experience, because now I can understand, I can be on the other side of the situation and be like, oh, well, this is the reason why she's reacting this way. And not be so angry and keep that resentment and be able to clear it out so that our chakras aren't blocked and so that we can, advance more spiritually that way. So this is also why a lot of these situations like slam us all of a sudden, because the universe is like, okay, you said you wanted to advance, you want to know what this other person is, I'm going to throw you a situation and see if you can, figure out what the other person, the reason why they're reacting that way are. If you're strong enough to be able to shut down your judgment and your ego center and open your mind to the idea that this other person's hurting too, they're reacting because they have had this situation that you didn't know about, and they're jaded because of that or whatever, and they're bringing that into the situation because that's how their fear is. Me being as spiritually advanced as I am, and a lot of us in this group, we're as spiritually advanced as we are, a lot of people don't understand that because they're not awake yet. But we're seeing a lot of people being thrown into the pot where they have to be awoken. For one thing, my grandma, she's being forced with the idea of my grandpa passing. Not now, because we have it at least settled down, but she did in the beginning because he didn't want the pacemaker. And if he didn't, then he's like, I'm done. I'm 95, almost 95. I've lived my life. I don't need to do this anymore. I'm done. And so she had to realize that she had to do a lot of stuff that was causing her issues and go deep down. And so I was talking to her about it. And here's the other thing, guys. When we go through spirituality the way we do, we also have to deal with other people, right? So I'm learning that my grandmother, being 92 years old, she's, how they say, set in their ways. Because I'm always the one, and I think a lot of you are in here also, we want to, quote unquote, save people, or we want to make them at least aware of their negative habits so that they can ascend and become the best that they can be, right? Because we care about our family and our friends and things. This also means that we also have to step back when we tell them that this is how we should, like, this is an idea, this is, the best way that, positively it would go forward, but they're just not able to hear it, or they're not ready to hear it yet. And that's very hard for us, because we're like, you're going to cause yourself more harm and more pain than needs to be. And we don't want to see that. We just want to help people, especially if you're the empath, like I am, a strong empath. Especially now that we're going into 4D, because 3D we've basically left behind, and I've noticed that hardcore. Some people are still in 3D, but even my It's Complicated guy, it was like, what the heck is going on? This is just very weird. And he's noticing some correlations also with spirit and different things that people are saying that are matching up with what's going on. And the fact that we're manifesting at a faster rate now, and the veil is very thin. So, basically what's happening is some people, they were in the denial phase, or just kind of like on autopilot for so long that they were smacked into, okay, this is where you are. It's like you wake up out of this nice dream, hey Debbie, and all of a sudden you realize, hey, this is my reality now, and you're scared. You don't know what's going on because you haven't acclimated it to it for a period of time, like the ones that, like us, who are awakened. We've learned how to adjust to it in a manageable pace. Now, the people who are waking up now are being thrown into the pot. Hi, Debbie. All of a sudden, out of nowhere. And then they're waking up and they don't like what they see because their fantasy world has crumbled. And so they're like, what is am I me? What's going on? And they're freaking out. So this is what's going on. This is also what's going on with my grandmother. I'm trying to enlighten her on what's going on, but she does not understand the concepts because she hasn't understood it for 20 years like I have. She hasn't lived it. She's not as in tune with the universe and spirit and things as I have. She never had a visit from my mother when my mother died like I did, or my uncle. When she was younger, she did have an experience with a close friend of hers that she saw before when the friend died, and she had an experience. But she's shut herself down to that because of conditioning back in the day when that wasn't appropriate to talk about, back in the 50s. Because if they talk about it back then, you were put in a mental hospital. So she's jaded herself for protection of her own sanity and her life, and she shut that aspect of herself down, which I think a lot of the population has. But now, with the veil being so thin, a lot of the population is like, oh shit, this shit's coming back again, and I don't like this, or am I going crazy again? A lot of people are like, oh my god, I'm going crazy. No, they're not. They're just seeing what we've seen for such a long time, and now they're like, oh crap, what's going on? Is the world ending? No, it's just you're seeing the other side of it, and you're not used to it, so it's just like a shock to them a little bit until they get used to it. So a lot of what's going on with me and my situation here, and probably a lot of what I've seen around town, at least here in town, in New York at least, and who knows wherever else, it's just kind of like, okay, where do we go now? What do we do now? And so when you're talking to a relative that doesn't understand this, or a friend or a family, and they think you're talking goo gaga, like you're insane, don't take it personally, because they don't understand. It's like if you're not into mechanics and the person is a mechanic and they're trying to explain to you what's wrong with your car, and you're like, okay, can you just tell me that this needs to be fixed and I need to go buy this part? That's all I need to know. It's like that. Because the mechanic's like, well, you need to know how your car works in case this happens again to prevent you from having another issue. But you're just like, I can't compute that because I don't understand the language. So, of course, I'm not going to understand how that works until I research that and understand it in a longer period of time. That's what's happening. So, we're getting a lot of that coming up because of all the planets in alignment, the heating up of the Earth's core, all of the, extraterrestrials, or the Galactic Federation, I like to say, coming in and fighting all the negative things that are going on and all the stuff that's being brought to light now because the dark matrix is falling apart and the light matrix is being brought online. So a lot of the falsities, the lies, the manipulation, that's all coming to the surface. That's why everybody's all like, oh my God, the world looks like shit. We're going to, shit in a handbasket or whatever you want to say. And it's kind of really crazy. But it's really not, because that's always been there. It's just been so hidden underneath all the layers that were there. And now all the layers are disintegrating and we're seeing the truth. And it's just a shock to people. They're like, holy crap, what the heck? So it's just kind of like a shock system. And this is going to go on for a couple more months, especially with the political, instability that's going on now. I don't know how that's going to go per se, and I don't really like to get into politics because everybody's got their different areas on it, and it's just so kind of like the fight between the light and the dark, and the positive aspects and the negative aspects are all kind of like working themselves out, because a lot of us actually also are what they call night fighters, I guess, was what I've been researching. Basically, it just means that when we're sleeping, we're actually fighting on the light side to advance spirituality and wake people up more, versus like the dark side, who's also got the same people that are trying to keep people tied down so they can manipulate them. So, that's how it always is. You can't have light without dark. You can't have dark without light. I mean, it's the duality system. A lot of that is playing part into it too. I know there's a lot of cosmic energy going on, hardcore, out there now. Not necessarily with solar flares or anything, but I just watched a video not too long ago about how the fact that we're also, I forgot where it was, but it was an article about how the fact that we're overdue for a polar flip. And it was talking about how the last polar flip, excuse me, my lunch is not agreeing with me. The last solar flip, or polar flip with the poles, the magnetic core of the Earth is, the last one was 700 years ago, I think. 741 years ago. And so, hey Barb, we were accelerating at such a fast pace. That's why we're all ascending at a higher pace, because the core of the Earth and Gaia and Mother Earth is just spinning, and everybody's like, the energy is just raising and rising, and that's why we're all like, woo, okay, it's a lot better. But there's a lot of that happening as well, with the fact that it's just kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Basically, it's kind of like when the dinosaurs lived. Like it flipped to the point where apparently the equator is not where the equator is now. The equator was actually the North and South Pole, on the other side. And it caused the Earth to tilt itself. So now the molten lava in the core, which is causing the earthquakes that you're seeing a lot. If you follow Jamie, she's been reporting on that a lot. And like all the irritability of people, and I mean humans, because we're all energy, we're all connected to the core of the Earth and everything. We're all feeling it, especially empaths and people who are connected to Earth magic, or whatever you want to say. There's a lot of that going on, and so by that moving, it's causing the Earth to kind of reevaluate itself and figure out what's going on. So Antarctica was apparently, according to what they were saying, Antarctica was actually a tropic of Cancer type of a thing, where it's like Hawaii or the Bahamas or something like that. So that's actually quite interesting to think about. But they said that it happens so many times in 100,000 years or something, and we're overdue for one, because apparently the other theory is that the negative forces that are trying to keep us in the Matrix didn't want that to happen, because that would cause everybody to wake up out of the Matrix, and then they wouldn't be able to manipulate people. So by having the Earth manipulated and warming up a little more and stuff like that, it's actually also causing more people to become online, so to speak, so that they're more aware of what's happening around them. And a lot of people are, like I said earlier, are not acclimated to it, so that it's just kind of causing them a shock syndrome. So there's a lot going on, and I'm gonna get off soon because I have to do stuff, and it's just a lot of stuff going on. But if you guys are having a lot of issues that are happening with you, miscommunication, things like that, this is one of the reasons why. And it's, like I said, it's gonna keep spiraling up, I believe, and becoming more, it's going to look super bad, but it's not actually super bad if you think about it, because we want these things to be brought to the light so that we can heal them and disintegrate them so they can go to the light, and then we can bring more positive things and unity back to the world, which is what we're all trying to do. So even though it looks bleak, it's not really bleak. And like I said, it propels us back from the 3D into the 4D, which we are in right now, and from the 4D up into the 5D and higher. So this is all actually making us more aware of what's going around, so that we're more in tune with our senses and our surroundings, which then make us available to ascend and get the downloads from the light codes and the solar downloads, and then upload into our new celestial light bodies. And then they also explained about the event and a different theory about the event, which I'm not necessarily going to get into here because it's a bunch of complicatedness. But they were definitely talking about how it's not necessarily going to be like a Big Bang theory where it's just like everybody boom and we're all gone and then we're in our spiritual centers. It depends on the rate of advancement that you and your family and whoever else is at, and everybody's going to be different. So some people might advance better and actually leave their physical bodies at some point and be on the other side, or just, it's going to be like a walkthrough, I guess this person was interpreted as. So like you see a white light and just walk through and you're like, oh, okay, I'm now in spirit sense. But it's not really like dying either, but in a sense it kind of is. So I'm still kind of sorting out what that's all about as well. So, like I said, I didn't want to go into it because I don't know. I'm not definitive on that, and I've only got one source for that, so I didn't want to say. But I just wanted to let you guys aware in case you guys knew more about that as well. Because we're all part of the group here, and this is what we're doing. We're sharing about the different experiences and how it's working with everybody else. But anyway, I'm going to get off because it's almost 8 o'clock, and I need to go get some of my soup going for dinner. Thank you so much for being on here. If you catch the replay, type #replay so I know that you've seen it or whatever. And by the way, if you're interested in any of the other stuff going on, I have my YouTube channel with all my playlists up, and I need to upload all these things to YouTube, so you can catch me on YouTube as well. And I'm trying to balance what's going on now with this, which is also helping me download information and life lessons that I need to clear out, so that when I ascend, I don't have that, because we can't ascend until we clear that out. That's another big point. That's a universal point that I've found from a lot of different sources. When we ascend is when we are able to clear out all that negativity and make peace with what has happened through us throughout our lives, and be like, okay, like with me and my younger brother who's in the hospital right now, The girl that he's with, I don't like the fact that she's not helping him out, like, healthy-wise. Hey, Andrea. But I have to make peace with that, because that's what he chose. He had the opportunity to leave, but he went back. And yes, he probably wasn't making the best decision, at least in my eyes, but I'm not living his life. I don't know what he feels. And he's also got other stuff from other lifetimes that he's dealing with that he needs to clean out. So I need to make peace with that before I can ascend further. So this is also what we're working on. These are why these situations come up for us, because it's for us to be able to make peace with them, understand the other side of why the action is being taken, or why the emotion is being taken and we're being lashed out at, or whatever, and not hold it against the other person. And believe me, I know it's harder said than done. I mean, it's easier said than done, because I'm trying to do this, and I have issues with my aunt too, and I'm trying to deal with all my family, because my outside I was able to make peace with, like my job and things like that. And now with all this stuff coming up now, I'm working on making peace with the different aspects of my family and what they believe, because I know that me trying to explain it is not going to get them, and they're just going to think I'm woo-woo. Like, I explained the fact that I work with Archangel Michael to my older brother yesterday, and he's like, no. Okay, case in point, we were in traffic. I asked Archangel Michael, which I do a lot, to open a way for us to turn left out of traffic, 4-way channel of traffic, on a very, very busy street at, like, rush hour traffic time. And he's just like, no, it's just traffic. You just deal with it. You sit at the corner and you just wait for an opening. And I said, no. I said, you ask, because Archangel Michael and, everybody else in the source and spirit can help you, because it's energy. You just got to ask to do it and it'll help you. Sometimes, though, they don't, because it's a lesson for you to learn. But in that instance, as simple as, like, okay, I need an opening so I can turn left safely so I don't get hurt and do something ridiculous and cause more issues. Just by being able to ask. And sure enough, he opened it up so there wasn't any cars coming. I mean, there were no lights anywhere on the street to stop traffic one way or the other, so you can have a moment where you can turn left. Because that's what happens sometimes in my town. But I'm like, no, this happens. And then he's like, no, it's just traffic. And he's like foo-fooing me. And he's actually kind of getting agitated with me believing that. And I really do believe he actually put some other kind of classification on me, like, oh my God, her stress is making her crazy. Which, that's fine. You know what? Let him believe what he needs to believe. I know what's true. And I know what's been working for me for the last 3 years that I've been working with Archangel Michael. Because he's also the Archangel of Protection. And he works with the police as well. But he's also blue light, blue ray of light, things like that. So I know that was true, and I'm like, okay, he doesn't have to like him because he's not working with him. I'm working with Michael. That's fine. And I thanked Michael for that as well. I mean, like I said, sometimes we just say it in our head, because me speaking out loud caused more of a tension between us than he knew. And so me going forward, I know not to bring that up again, because that's going to cause more of an issue with him, and he's going to be like, and we don't need that. I mean, let him believe what he needs to believe. They don't all need to believe what I want to believe or whatever. I know it'll help him out if he did choose to go that route and ask for help from the Archangel. But, that's his own life lesson. But I was there to say it that day, so maybe in the future when he's by himself, he'll be like, oh, I remember when we were in a situation similar to this, she did that. Maybe I'll do it and see what happens, just to test it out. Even if you're just testing it out, or you plant the seed, if it enlightens them enough to be able to take that jump, so when they ask and then they're more aware of it, that's enlightenment. That's us sharing our enlightenment to other people. And that's helping the whole collective. And it's also dissolving that ego-centered, fear-based actions from eons past. So that's a case in point, whatever. So going forward, just be mindful of what you do. And if it causes more of a tension, you don't necessarily have to keep bringing it up. Like, I have to keep reminding myself, because I speak all the time. It's just who I am. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. That's just what I do. And a lot of people don't like that. And they're like, oh, shut your mouth, Jenny. You're going to make more trouble. Excuse me. But that's just who I am. That's how I am. But I'm also learning to do different things with it. So anyway, that's my tidbit for now. Hopefully I'll be on a little bit sooner later on when I get stuff organized and in a pattern, because I like patterns and organization. And this thing on the side of my thing keeps coming up with twin flame stuff. constantly. This is like the 4th notification tonight in the last hour I've had of twin flame something or other, which I was sharing for a while there, but it's a blog that I'm on. They just do blogs every now and then, so now all of a sudden it's coming back again. So I was like, I don't know, whatever. So that sounds like it's a big thing too, coming up with us being advanced enough to know about that. Our twin flames are coming into alignment with us as we become aligned with ourselves and our true self. And actually, another side note that I'd like to mention is right now, a friend of mine, Jen Feline, the one that did the crystal deck and cards, she posted a thing about an oracle card reading, so to speak, just a post with the, you pick 1, 2, or 3 or whatever. And I picked 2 and then number 3. And then I went and I'm reading it, and sure enough, the first one that I picked was about, let me scroll up, hold on, communication. So it says you need to work on your communication and be able to communicate clearly, because if you don't, your throat chakra is going to be closed, and you're not doing yourself justice. But don't overdo it where you're pushing your ideas and your thoughts onto somebody else and causing more tension. You got to know that balance there. And then with that, it's also learning about listening to the other person and their issues. And then the second card that I chose, in turn, was listening. So the listening one was basically you get messages from songs, other people's conversations. Like if you ask about, okay, I need help with this, it's not necessarily going to come right now to you. But like they said, it could come in a song lyric. It could come in somebody else, you're walking by and they mention something, then you're like, there you go. Or it could come with somebody else, sitting down and sharing a situation that they had with their family that's happening. And you're like, oh shit, I didn't think of that aspect. Maybe I need to reevaluate what's going on with me. So that's also the universe telling me, for one, I need to listen more to my grandmother and stop judging her and putting my ego on her, saying that she's elderly and she doesn't know what she's doing. She's talking out of fear, because I was doing that earlier and I didn't know I was doing it. Well, I knew I was doing it, but I thought I was kind of righteous in doing it. You know how like we get that way? We're like, oh, well, I know what I'm doing because this is the way it is and this is logic, whatever. It wasn't really logic. Me telling her that this is the smarter way to go wasn't exactly smart on my part, because she felt put upon, and I didn't want that. That's not what we need to do. And inadvertently, I was doing more harm than I thought I was doing good. So this also was like, Jen, hello, you mean well, but it's not actually being well. So this is when we need to also sit down, listen to ourselves sometimes when we talk, because sometimes we just talk and we don't listen. And just be like, the affirmation is, I communicate in all ways with grace and ease. So that's for the communication one. And then the listening one is, the affirmation is, I listen contently and hear the words of wisdom loud and clear. So these are 2 things that I've been having to work on for the last 3 days because of Mom's fear of what's going on and what happened with her and her friends who had issues about being put in nursing homes and all her bad experiences. And I need to acknowledge that and not judge her for her fear, because that's what I've been doing. I'm like, your fear is talking, and it's really ironic and really kind of creepy now that I'm explaining it, what's been going down. Because I've told her, and I remember this 2 days ago, I told her face to face, I said, Mom, your fear of what's happening is causing you to react a certain way, and it's not exactly right. But I thought I was doing the right thing, and in sense doing that is also, she felt like she was being blamed too. And the one night she came down and she goes, I understand you're having a problem, this is what you do, but she goes, can you just accept me for me? And then I'm like, oh shit, I didn't mean for it to be that way. And she thinks that when I'm explaining what I'm doing, it's instead of me understanding it and hearing it in here as knowledge and enlightenment, she's hearing it as me judging her and me lecturing her, which I don't want. That's not the way to go, especially now that she's like 94 and we don't need to do that. She's lived her life. She's got her opinions. She's going to end up dying with her opinions, unfortunately. So me trying to hurry up and, make her understand so that she can advance, and learn the lessons that, now is the, closed window, you don't have much time. That's me. I'm putting what I wanted to do on her, and that's not right. She didn't come here. She didn't write that into her chart to listen, to learn that way. I did. I came into this life to learn that way. And that's me putting my things on her, which I didn't realize until I read this. And then universe is like, come on, Jen, wake up. You mean well, but this is not going well for you. So anyways, that went 5 minutes over where I want to go, but I just thought that was good to advance in here and listen to anybody else who was having an issue with communication not coming out correctly or things like that. We don't want to end up smothering our communication, but we do want to speak our truth to the point where it doesn't make us feel like crap or shit or whatever, but we don't want to push it to the point where it's going to cause more of a confrontation. We can just say it once or twice, and if they still don't agree or don't want to get the hint, then we just have to drop it, and we just have to be like, okay, I understand. This is my opinion. We're going to agree to disagree, and then leave it at that, and then try to go through as calmly as we can and meet in the middle somehow. Okay? So that's where we're going from here. Like I said, lots of stuff to do tomorrow, and I start my new job on, the second day of my new job on Wednesday. So hopefully that's all going to get okay, and then the rest of this will work out the way it needs to be. All right. I'm sorry I kept you guys on too long. I will talk to you guys as soon as I can get another moment. Stay positive. The sunset the other night was beautiful, amazing over by Chestnut Ridge here in New York, and it was amazing. And it made me realize, you know what? Even with all the shit going down, God is good. The universe is good, and they do listen to you, because I'm like, oh my God, I got that feeling that just, yes, the universe is listening to you, and I'm advancing, being able to go through these situations and not be bitter about a lot of things that are happening, and just be able to accept the situation as it's developing and not put what I want it to be on it, and just let it be, let it flow, let the energy flow, because the more we try to stop it, the more we're going to regress and we're not going to advance as much. So we got to try to go with the energy and with the flow as much as we can, because that will help us learn to just be in the energy and just feel it and let it pass and just advance. So that's what I got for you. All right, I will see you when I guys see you, and hopefully I'm monitoring it. I look on every now and then at night when I get a free moment. I'm not on live like I want to be, but lots of crickets and froggies out tonight. But I will talk to you guys later. Have a good Saturday night. Enjoy your holiday weekend, your Labor Day weekend. And I will see you guys on the flip side. Love, light, and blessings always. Namaste. Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye, everybody.